Ciao Silviu. I have here a beautiful old Benwade from, the end of production, probably 1981 or 2. I'm not really sure. It has a vulcanite stem and really pretty carving that is mostly sandblasted, but has some smooth contrast patches with very pretty grain. I think it's from their walnut series. Just in a moment I can tell you. Just in a moment all I can see is it's faded. Well, that's alright. That's alright. It says Benwade handmade, Denmark. That's what it says. Benwade, of course, is an English pipe company. Well, was. And I got bought up by Dunhill, and corporate shiftery occurred. And eventually, because weak men do bad things, Preben Holmes pipes wound up being named Benwade in America. I'm not sure about elsewhere, but they were named Benwade here, and it was to keep the pipes from selling more cheaply than they ought. It's funny, the Preben Holmes name eventually wound up selling for more than the Benwade name pipes. They were rarer. By the end, I think the fame of his name was restored. What am I smoking? I have here the very last flake from brand new Capstan, which is why I begin my video with Ciao Silviu. Now, I don't speak any Romanian, well, not speak of. But, I speak enough Latin so that Romanian is mostly intelligible to me if I read it. Mostly. There are some Dacian and Slavic things in Romanian as well as Latin things. Languages are always seeping into one another. And of course, Dacian, Dacia, is the original of Romania. Well, so here's a pipe full of this brand new Capstan yellow, which is made by Baren's. And I'm going to go get some matches because I just noticed that my lighter is out of fuel. I'll be right back. So, I am back. Thanks for waiting. For you, it was no time at all. And, got some matches. Not the sort that win contests, I'm sure. But, matches nonetheless. Now, there we are. Brought my favorite pipe temp with me. This one. It's the one with all the scar tissue on the end. I was born with these. It's a collection of 10. And, it is inevitable, I suppose, that a man tamp his pipe with his index finger at some point. It is also inevitable that he will burn himself, perhaps even to the point of tears, but they're not horrible tears. Yesterday, no, the day before, it was pretty horrible. I sat in this chair and writhed when I got home from work. To tell you the truth, I could hardly stay through the end of my shift. I have been up now a couple of hours. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning, which is the latest I've ever filmed outdoors on the porch. I hate losing the backdrop of darkness. Of course, I'm always out here with my back to the rail, hoping that in the course of the video, the monster doesn't leap up and grab me. You know, the monsters that creep around in the dark. Well, do I believe in monsters? Only the ones in the Bible, which are probably just as terrible as anything you can conjure up from any folklore that you'd care to. I'll skip talking about that. This is a fine pipe. Now, what I regret to tell you, because this is the last flake of this Capstan, and I'm going to give you my impressions of what it's like after having smoked a whole tin of it. It's a much finer pipe than the tobacco is. This tobacco is made by Barens, I may have said. It is not my favorite Baren tobacco. As a matter of fact, it is far from my favorite Baren tobacco. There are a few of those which I will not smoke. I am allergic to vanilla. You may have noticed from listening to these videos that I always seem to be allergic to something, and I am. Right now we're in the end of ragweed season, and ragweed season is always very allergic for me. I have a lot of allergies. I choose to believe that I'm not allergic to my cats. My cat Florian is having his breakfast right now. Earlier, the neighbor's cat, Milo, was over for breakfast. I don't know why Florian was so late this morning. Ordinarily, he's here about 5. And I let him in and give him squishies with the other cats. Wet food. And this morning, he's having crunchies for breakfast, which is just fine with him, you know. You don't miss what you don't have when you're a cat, I think. What is it to be a cat? The human cannot know. And I am a human. Tiger is a nom de guerre. And while I have never been, nor shall I ever be at this age, a soldier, they didn't want me. I turned soldier's age when, in 1978, they weren't hiring many soldiers back then, and I did have an offer from the Navy to be part of their nuclear program, and because I scored so well on the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. But then they met me and decided I wouldn't be a very good sailor. I do not question their wisdom. Oh, I regretted their choice more than once. But there were other plans for me. And though they were hard to endure in the training, there he went, Florian. I'll tell you Florian's story someday, but not today. Did go to seminary. After a couple of years of secular college, I went to seminary, and then after a couple of years there, I went and finished my education in a Western Rite Benedictine Orthodox monastery, which no longer exists. It was a priory, 3 monks and me, in Malden, Massachusetts. St. Dunstan's, it was called. And I was grateful for the experience, and it turns out God was not calling me to monasticism either. I hope that I have made a better than indifferent husband. My wife might have married a man that made her richer. She had a few choices. But she could not have found a man who would love her more. And that I promise you. That I promised her. So far, so good. It's been, what, 33 years? Yes, 33 years thus far. And a couple of years after we were married, I was ordained. In a small Syriac Orthodox jurisdiction. Where I have stayed ever since. Silviu. This tobacco is a little disappointing to me. Oh, yes, it has a certain fruitiness. And the fruit is nectarine. And it's almost ripe. There's a good bit of tang to it. And some would say it don't mean a thing if they ain't got that tang. Sword makers, for example. But the tang is the part that the hilt is built around. Just that's pretty obscure English word, and I thought I might tell you about it. I hope you never have need for a sword, but just in case they have parts, you might need to know the names. It hasn't any body to it. It's, you could say it's angelic. It's there, but it hasn't a body. It has flavor. But the flavor is very subtle. To drink white wine, I do occasionally. I don't really like sweet white wines, except for the German ones. Those are all right. Mosel and Rhine wines. Those are good. And I like the wine with Woodruff in, what do they call it? Sauternes. I like Sauternes. But, you know, I want my white wines to be tangier. And really, my favorite white wine, a lot of people don't like. I like Retsina, because it's got fortified flavor, not fortified alcohol content, like a port. It has fortified flavor. It's been flavored with pine resin. And it's rather a Greek thing. But boy, I like it. I think the best of white wines are sort of appley. But some are nectarini. Sounds like an Italian family name. I nectarini. Che belle. But no, this tobacco just doesn't do it for me. I'm a man who likes, what do they call them? Full-throated. Reds. I like Burgundy. I like those Chilean wines. Yeah. When I was a boy, why, they didn't, the only varietals we had were Muscadine, which was homemade, and Scuppernong, which was homemade, and Concord, which was from Mogan David. And those were the only varietal wines you bought. They were all sweet, of course. It's not outside the tradition of European winemaking. I mean, there's Hungarian Tokay. And there's a sweet wine too, and it's a single variety. This is the latest I've ever recorded out here. That's why you're hearing cars go by. That's why I record late at night, so you don't hear cars go by. Well, Silviu, go ahead and buy the tobacco or obtain it. You should try it to experience it. It is not torture, but it's also not the thing that I would have chosen had I known. It's a little insubstantial. It is not so insubstantial as Dunhill's mild Virginia Flake. Now there is a tobacco with all the flavor of a cold glass of water, with the aftertaste of nothing at all. And I think that this is probably as much of me as a human being should have to stand. All right, I'm not even sure of what I said, except that I don't like the tobacco. Not much. Have a wonderful day, and that sort of thing. All right, I'm going to drink some more coffee and try not to be so cranky. Love you. Bye.